Well, hi everyone. It's been a while. It's been about a month and a half since I posted my last video. I had emergency surgery back in the beginning of April, but I'm on the mend now. So I've got some excellent new drone footage courtesy of Josh again for Providence. So I'll go over what that footage shows relative to the current status of the demolition of the westbound Washington Bridge in Providence, Rhode Island. But as I mentioned, I had surgery. I happened to be in Vietnam helping my wife with a family visit. The logistics of travel in Vietnam can be rough at times, so I ended up going out there to help her out. And then a week later, I ended up having emergency surgery, as I mentioned. When I realized I had a bowel obstruction, I was as far south as you can go in Vietnam. And I took a chance on a 6-hour taxi ride to a good hospital in Ho Chi Minh City, Saigon. I didn't want to get surgery potentially at a small provincial hospital, so I rolled the dice and it worked out. I ended up going to the American International Hospital in Saigon, and it's an excellent private hospital. It's humbling to put your life in the hands of a stranger and you're relying on their talent, skills, and dedication to get you through, and it all worked out. This is the surgeon who saved my life. So I want to say, Gamun Boxy How. So what I want to cover in today's video, aside from the drone updates from the demolition, is whether funding to Rhode Island DOT in general and to the Washington Bridge replacement specifically is in danger. So on April 24th, USDOT issued a letter basically warning states that their funding would be in jeopardy on federal projects if they adhered to DEI pursuits or weren't cooperating with the federal government in immigration efforts, that sort of thing. So to clarify, USDOT is the umbrella agency for all federal transportation programs. It includes Federal Highway Administration. Federal Highways interfaces directly with the DOTs. And so let's just look at this letter here. Reminds the states that USDOT distributes substantial federal financial assistance for thousands of projects, programs, and activities operated or initiated by diverse entities, but not limited to state and local governments. And they go on to say entities that pursue DEI goals are considered to be in violation of federal law. And as I mentioned, there's additional funding issues potentially for governments who don't cooperate or end up impeding U.S. immigration and customs enforcement, ICE, actions. So I just wanted to touch on that. This came to my attention. I was listening to the Ask DOT. I don't know if I call it a program. It's really a free fire zone for Rhode Island DOT Director Peter Alviti to say pretty much whatever he wants, and it goes mostly unchallenged by the program host Gene Valicente on WPRO. But I'm going to play a segment of what Alviti said about the potential for funding impacts to the DOT.
Dave in Rumford.
Dave, go ahead.
Okay. Hey, good morning. Gene, you were talking about the cabinet meeting yesterday with Trump, and Transportation Secretary Duffy made a statement, Peter, that states who give driver's licenses to illegal aliens will no longer be able to get federal transportation funding. Wasn't sure if you saw that. I do see a memo that he put out to everyone who receives transportation funds. And are we at risk of losing our money?
Peter, you aware of this?
Yes, we did. We did see the letter. We read the letter. We have had communication with the Federal Highway Administration, the folks there and their attorneys. And we're looking at it. Our attorneys are looking at it. We do not believe that this particular condition affects Rhode Island DOT funding as an agency. And we're working forward to have all of our funding released. So far, none of the funds have been withheld.
Well, I don't know how he could be so sure about it. I mean, this letter from USDOT only came out on April 24th. And Alviti goes on to say that, well, because they went ahead and sent us our grant money that was committed under the previous federal administration, that means we're good with USDOT. I don't necessarily believe that, but this is a political thing, and I don't want to delve into the political aspects because I don't know all the ins and outs. I think there's much greater risks to funding to Rhode Island DOT that could result from an audit, either from an inspector general if one's formed in the state of Rhode Island, or more particularly if USDOT and Federal Highways does an audit of how Rhode Island DOT has been administering their projects. So let's play an excerpt from the recent cabinet meeting. This is Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy.
We have what is called follow the law. So we have so many states and municipalities that don't follow the law. So whether it's DEI, discriminating against Americans, whether they give illegals driver's license, or they're sanctuary cities or states, if you don't follow the law, if you're giving license to illegals, if you're having DEI policies, we're not going to fund your projects. So you got to certify in your state or in your city to get road and bridge money or rail money that you're actually following the law, which includes executive orders from you, Mr. President.
Okay, well, here's a recent news article from the Providence Journal. And again, I've got links to all these news sources in the description to this video. This is from last November. Governor, Providence Mayor, Rhode Island will not support federal mass deportation efforts. So that may put them at odds with the recent memo from USDOT regarding funding for their projects. As I mentioned, Rhode Island doesn't have an inspector general. There's current legislation pending to form such an IG. There really needs to be an independent review, free of the executive branch, in my opinion, on these programs being administered by the state of Rhode Island, and in particular, the bridge and highway projects. And this article goes on to mention that Washington Bridge demolition and rebuild is one of the targets or potential targets for an investigation, and I wholeheartedly agree with that. So I want to recap why I think Rhode Island DOT is particularly vulnerable to potentially losing funding, notwithstanding this recent USDOT memo. I'm referring to what appears to me to be a lack of transparency in the administration of their bridge projects, and just the irregularities, in my opinion, that's occurred with the administration of the demolition contract for Washington Bridge. So you'll recall that last year, Rhode Island DOT issued a $45 million contract to Etna Bridge, when Etna Bridge was $2 million higher than the competing proposal from Sigma Manafort. And I don't think Rhode Island DOT has given an adequate accounting for why that selection was made. I mean, it just seems, in my view, that Rhode Island DOT is just trying to shovel as much money as possible to Etna Bridge. You know, they had that shutdown from September to October where presumably nothing was actually done. They said it was related to the lawsuit and potential preservation of evidence. I've talked to many people who've been on that job site during that time period, and they tell me they saw no activity regarding sampling or documentation or anything related to support of the state's lawsuit against various contractors and consulting firms. And that shutdown cost almost $700,000 through a change order to Etna Bridge. Then you had nearly $500,000 granted by Rhode Island DOT to Etna, supposedly for early completion of what seems to be insignificant milestones in the overall demolition of the project. And keep in mind, the federal government is being asked to pay for 80% of these costs. Then you had Rhode Island DOT sole sourcing the demolition of the substructure, which wasn't part of the original demolition contract. So that $45 million was for just demolition of the superstructure, the things that you see above ground on a bridge. So that's nearly equal to the original contract value. And they didn't ask for competing proposals. And I don't understand why, because they didn't get into the substructure demolition until February of 2025. And yet they issued the contract for the demolition of the substructure back in October. Now, through the public records requests with Rhode Island DOT, I've obtained the proposal from Etna Bridge for the demolition of the substructure. And there's not a lot to it. It's a little more sophisticated than writing a price on the back of a cocktail napkin, but not by much, in my opinion. And in their proposal, they detail various options for the demolition of the pier and upper part of the piling. For the substructure, they elected to go with option 2, all water pier work completed using turbidity curtains with removal above water. And of course, we saw a lack of turbidity curtains in place when they dropped huge sections of reinforced concrete from the demolition of the bridge into the Seekonk River. And they talk about all water pier work completed using turbidity curtains with removal above water starting prior to the July 1st, 2025 in water work window. So there's some environmental restrictions as to what they can do in the water. That's why the demolition work for the substructure isn't scheduled to be completed till the end of this year, 2025, even though the contract for the design build replacement is supposed to be issued by Rhode Island DOT in June of this year. So the new team for the design build, once they're selected, won't even be able to start actual construction until 2026. But you see these other options that include using cofferdams. So if they installed cofferdams within their allowable work window, they could have continued working with a much earlier completion of the demolition work. And other entities have reported what appears to be irregularities with how Rhode Island DOT administers their bridge contracts. This article by Go Local talks about how Aetna won 3 contracts for $210 million, and they were the highest bidder on each project. And it goes on to talk about, the design build mechanism. I think it's a good contract delivery mechanism when you've got a very complex project and you want to incentivize the contractor to be innovative and to be efficient and to do the work in a timely manner. But it leaves the potential for the selection of people based on qualitative or essentially favoritism that's not essentially quantitative. So if a conventional project is design, bid, build, the low contractor, the contractor that has the lowest price during the bid, is selected for the work. In this case, it's much like a beauty contest where numerical values are assigned based on essentially qualitative assessment of, well, who has the best qualifications for the project? Who do you like better, sort of thing. And it seems with the frequency of design build projects in Rhode Island and how they continue to go over budget in many cases, I think this is a subject that would bear scrutiny by USDOT through an audit. Okay, so I mentioned the drone footage. Let's go through. And again, thanks to Josh in Providence for this. So this drone footage was recorded on Wednesday, May 7th. I'm recording this video on Friday, May 9th. So it looks like they're continuing to work on the demolition of the substructure. They've got a lot of the pier columns out of the way now, as well as the panels for the piers, the outside panels. As far as I know, there's still massive pieces, 80-ton plus pieces of reinforced concrete in the Seekonk River that shouldn't be in the river, despite what Director Alviti has asserted incorrectly. And, I've been very critical of Rhode Island DOT, but I'd say 99% of my criticism is leveled to Director Alviti. I've had great interactions with their legal department. In fact, I met briefly with Miles Beltran of their legal department when I was in Providence back in March, requesting the status of my public records request, and he assured me I would get the balance of my requested records the following week, which happened. I've also been in contact with rank and file Rhode Island DOT staff, and they appear to me to be very dedicated to doing a good job and doing the work properly on Rhode Island projects. And I'm hearing from these individuals that essentially there's been a witch hunt going on from Director Alviti's office to suppress dissemination of information. Apparently they're having a lot of in-person meetings and are strongly discouraged from sending emails, which would be a matter of public record. So this is a DOT headed by Director Alviti that is not about transparency, in my opinion, and they're certainly not about accountability, because this lawsuit is a massive smokescreen. I mean, the big picture is that this bridge failed. It fortunately didn't result in any catastrophic collapse when it well could have, and had that happen, dozens of people would have lost their life. And instead of focusing on how this near-miss disaster occurred, they file these lawsuits and then say they can't talk about it. So I'm not impressed with Director Alviti and the way he's operated relative to the Washington Bridge and his various incorrect statements, in my view, relative to various aspects of this project. So I'll continue to follow the story. I want to thank those of you who have contributed to buy me a coffee. That's a great way to support the channel. I also want to thank the channel members and those of you who have provided super thanks. And I want to thank all those of you who have inquired about the status of new videos during the last 6 weeks where I hadn't posted. I appreciate all your interest and support, and I'll continue to follow this and other stories related to primarily infrastructure projects throughout the United States and internationally. So thanks very much, everyone.